Every Tuesdays at noon, I used to come and sit with her. And in the beginning, it was more about discussing the homework and, along the line of the material. And then, it became much more than that. I mean, we discussed career in accounting, and she tried to get me an internship when I just had 240. So looking back, I feel like who would take, an intern that just took 240? But she was just, she kept trying to convince me. She's like, we need an accountant like you. I always thought that, an accountant is just a person that is very serious and nerdy, and she was so different. So I just wanted to be like her. I was like, wow, this is so cool.
I first met Sue in the summer of 1985, and she was taking a class with me over in Ward, in one of the older classrooms at that time. Sue sort of, took me on as a project, as everyone knows how she took people on as projects. I can't remember how many classes I taught her, but at least 2 or 3, I'm sure. And so that's how the relationship began, and we got to know each other pretty well. She ended up at Ringling Brothers. She had to file their tax return, consolidated tax return, filing in maybe close to 50 states in 2 weeks. And I always was just amazed that she was able to pull that off. And she did, and she was very successful at it. To my recollection, she was the longest serving tax director that Ringling Brothers ever had. I thought it was 7 or 8 years. And we stayed in touch. She'd call me with technical questions, and we'd talk about the depreciation of elephants, and what rate of depreciation you should have if they're in the Philippines, and what rate if they're located in the United States. There's different depreciation rules for property in and outside of the United States. So I always remember the elephant question. That was very interesting. From there, she went on to be a recruiter, and frankly, I think by her own admission, almost starved to death. The first few years were real slow for her. After doing a couple of years of that, but slowly that business was building up. But that's when I had her come back and be an adjunct, and she really enjoyed that for, I guess it was 2 or 3 years. I think I was chair of the department at that time, and invited her back. And that's when the passion for her teaching the 240 class and the 241 class began. In 2005, I guess, about my last couple of years as chair, we hired her on full time. And that's when the real energy came to campus. That's when she was nonstop. And it was all about the students, all about the students.
And I had Professor Marcum for 2 classes. She was one of my favorite professors of all time there. But also, I mean, she shaped what I wanted to do so much. I mean, countless times I go into her office hours just to talk about what my plans were for the future, even just what classes to take for next semester. I remember one time I went into her office right at the end of one of her office hours. I was having kind of a life crisis of sorts. And I went in, she was already meeting with another student, and I didn't want to interrupt her, but she saw me waiting outside as she was ending up. She asked me how I was doing, what was up, and I said, I just have some questions for you if you had time. And she said, I really have to run to a meeting that's mandatory right now, but is it a quick question, or can I answer right now? And I think the phrase I used was that I had life questions for her. She actually agreed to come in on the weekend to talk to me, which I had never expected at all. She helped confirm that I wanted to be an accounting major.
We decided to create the MSA. We'd always had an MSA, but then it was terminated. And then with the new dean coming on board, we decided to bring the MSA back. And that would have been, oh my goodness, that would have been 2006, 2007, something like that. And so Sue was tasked to develop the MSA. And she initially was totally overwhelmed by that, but she got it under her control. You know, Sue. It just takes some time, some effort, some diligence, everyday dogged determination. That was Sue Marcum. And so she developed that MSA program to be what it is right now, probably the largest master's program that we have. Sue had always set aside some money that she had personally contributed to the university to be set aside for scholarships for MSA students. And that went on for a number of years with her personal funds. And then upon her death, this university did a more formal process of developing the Sue Marcum Scholarship Fund and solicited the alumni and just anyone who might have known her. It's been permanently now endowed, so enough funds were contributed so that this scholarship fund will be permanently available to students for forever.
In 2006, Sue started the scholarship with her own funds and worked to build that fund during her lifetime. She often had birthday parties at her home, and instead of asking her friends to bring her gifts, she'd ask them to make contributions towards the scholarship fund. That was the kind of person she was, looking out for the students. She really wanted to help enable students to continue their education. So far, 3 students from American University have been recipients of the Sue Marcum Scholarship Fund. Andrew Scalise, Jeff Wilson, and Kaitlyn Rooney.
I cannot think of a greater tribute to Sue Marcum than a scholarship fund in her name to be given to an undergraduate student pursuing the MSA. I think it's the greatest tribute one could give an offer to Sue.
I am a recipient this year of the Sue Marcum Scholarship, and it is an absolute honor. I'm able to continue my education and continue following my passion for accounting. I really didn't know if I wanted to do just business in general or accounting, international business. I was open to everything, so I was looking for a good professor to have. And not one person had anything negative to say about Professor Marcum. Like, it was just out of the ballpark. Like, everybody had something good to say about it, and so I signed up for that managerial accounting class, and it was probably the best decision I made in my undergrad experience, only because it was in that class that I actually really began to develop a passion for accounting.
I visited her office a lot when I was in her class, and then even after my second class with her, I still kept in touch with her and eventually joined the accounting club and became the VP of marketing. Well, normally in clubs, most faculty members don't really get involved, it's only the students. But in this club, she was really involved. She helped with anything you needed, whether it was to set up for an event or help with the marketing.
My first semester here at AU, I approached Professor Marcum about the possibility of setting up a student chapter of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. We sat down and talked about the organization and the fact that AU could be the first student chapter in the DC region for this organization, and she injected such energy and enthusiasm. She was a champion from the very moment I talked to her about it. That it felt more like it was her program that I was just helping her on, as opposed to the other way around. And I'm proud to say that as of October of this year, 2011, we have been officially recognized. Without her energy and enthusiasm and support, I don't know, we could have brought this just to, hey, I have this idea, into fruition.
Everybody kind of looked up to her because she, I remember after the first exam, she hated pens. She had this thing where she hated students writing in pens because, she just loved pencils and mechanical pencils. So she, after the first exam, she bought us mechanical pencils, like the whole class, and she said, these are cheap from Costco, but as soon as you, find your mechanical pencil, it's going to speak to you.
After I took Professor Marcum's Principles of Financial Accounting course, I really knew I wanted to be a tutor. So I went to her and I asked, do you think you could be my recommendation for that spot, because they require one teacher recommendation. So she said, of course. And I had a lot of fun doing the tutoring that first semester, but I wanted to kind of expand that a little bit to be a supplemental instruction leader the next semester. She really helped me get involved with that. And in all honesty, she's one of the reasons why I wanted to be an SI leader, because I saw how passionate her teaching style was. I saw how much she loved being a teacher. And I always thought I might want to go into teaching. I wasn't completely sure, but being in her classes, seeing how she taught it really made me want to do it too. It made me want to emulate her in a way.
Her focus was on keeping accounting fun and reaching the students, and we shared a lot of fun times and laughs thinking about creative ways that we could teach accounting and reach the students.
She really did contribute substantially to the lives of many students at American University. She tried to really engage students in the classroom, enliven the material, make learning accounting fun.
Sue Marcum was a woman of, as I said, of passion, of feeling, who cared about you, who wanted what was best for you, had so much to give to the world, and gave it over and over and over, just two at a time. That was Sue Marcum.
She played a really big role and made a really big difference, and really given the students the opportunity to set things apart. I mean, Sue was known as a doer for others.
Students knew that Sue respected them as individuals, and she was the teacher that would always go the extra mile to meet with them, to talk with them, to counsel them, to help them with homework, and she was there 24/7 to work with them.
Approach she had in working with students that, as I say, was very maternal in nature, and you could sense the students didn't want to disappoint her. You wouldn't want to let Sue Marcum down, and that's what we all want to do, is not let Sue Marcum down, either during her life or for her memory. We don't want to let Sue Marcum down.
I love you, Professor Marcum.